Welcome back to the channel. In the previous episode, we joined Toan and Diem as they sowed the very first seeds of hope into the barren soil. Today, another major turning point arrives for the wooden cabin high on the hill. The light of civilization returns. Today is the day the electrician is scheduled to install the wiring. This might sound ordinary to us, but for a couple who just escaped homelessness, a light bulb and a rice cooker are symbols of finally settling down. To prepare for this event, Diem decides to make a big trip down the mountain. As for Toan, he takes on the mission of guarding the fortress, improving the soil, and welcoming the electrician. Can an amnesiac man handle things home alone? And will that electrician just run wires? Or will he notice something unusual about this farmer who possesses the aura of a CEO? Let's brew a cup of tea. Sit back and listen to this emotional story filled with interesting twists on this special day. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe to support Toon and his wife. Early morning, mist still clung to the pine branches. The atmosphere at the wooden cabin was much livelier than usual. Diem was busily preparing her plastic basket, putting on her hat, and double-checking the capital money Mrs. Tui had given them. Today, she was going to spend a bit more than usual. Honey, I've calculated it. Since we're getting power today, we can't keep cooking with wood forever. It's smoky and wastes too much time. I'm going to buy a rice cooker, a good quality one, so it lasts a long time. Diem counted on her fingers as she spoke. Then we need a soup pot, a dozen bowls, and new chopsticks. Oh, and toothbrushes and face towels. The old stuff we used in the hospital is too worn out. Toan was sharpening his hoe on the porch. Hearing his wife calculate, he chuckled. You really are the boss of the house. Just buy whatever is most necessary. But remember, it's a long way, so don't carry anything too heavy. Diem looked at her husband, her eyes flickering with worry. I don't mind going to the market. I'm just worried, leaving you alone. You just recovered, and it's so desolate up here. Diem let the sentence trail off. The fear of strangers lurking was still there. She was terrified that while she was away, Toan might be in danger. Toan understood her concern. He stood up, stretching to reveal toned muscles that were gradually regaining their strength. You worry too much. Look, I'm strong as an ox now. I've got work up to my ears today. No time to be scared. When the electrician comes later, I have to direct the installation. Then I need to head up the hill to gather some dry firewood for winter. After that, I still have to till that patch on the side of the house to run the water line. He stepped forward, placing both hands on Diem's shoulders, looking deep into her eyes. You just go to the market with peace of mind. Buy some good food. When the power is on by noon, I'll cook the first pot of rice for you. Deal. Toan's steadiness put Diem at ease. She nodded, gave a few more reminders, and then took her basket down the mountain. Her small figure gradually disappeared behind the slope. Toan stood watching until he couldn't see his wife anymore. The smile on his lips slowly faded, replaced by the alertness of a man guarding his territory. After Diem left, the wooden cabin fell into absolute silence. Toan didn't allow himself to be lazy. He knew electricity was one thing, but firewood was still essential. It saved on the electric bill and on freezing frosty nights, a fire was the only thing that could warm the whole house. Toan took a length of rope and hiked up the hill behind the house. The vast pine forest rustled in the wind. His feet crunched on dry leaves. Toan looked for branches broken by the wind or dead stumps. His health was much better now. He hoisted a bundle of firewood onto his shoulder, feeling its weight pressing down, yet his heart felt light. Walking along Toan suddenly stopped. A slight headache flashed by a lingering effect of the accident that hadn't fully vanished. He raised a hand to rub his temple, leaning his back against an old pine tree. In that moment of silence amidst the bird song and the wind, Toan suddenly heard the sound of a motorbike engine echoing from the trail below. "Is the electrician here?" He hurriedly adjusted the bundle of wood and quickly moved down the mountain. Instinct told him he had to be home before a stranger stepped into the yard. Arriving in the yard, Toan saw a motorbike loaded with wire and a folding ladder parked out front. A man in an orange electrician's uniform was fumbling to untie his gear. "Hello, you're here to install the power right." Toan spoke up, his voice resonant and clear. The electrician startled and turned around. He was a bit stunned seeing Toan. Standing before him was a man in old work clothes, carrying firewood on his shoulder, wearing rubber boots. But his face and demeanor were not like a farmer at all. Toan's eyes were sharp, his nose bridge high and straight, exuding an indescribable authority. Yes? Hello, sir. I'm from the power company. I have a schedule to run lines for Mr. Thu's house today." The electrician replied awkwardly. Toan nodded, setting the firewood down in the corner of the porch. He wiped the sweat from his brow, then pointed around the house with decisive gestures. "Thank you for the hard work. Please run the main line from that pole out there. Mount the meter on the outer porch for easy checking. As for inside surface wiring is fine, but keep it neat. Install a tube light in the main room, one in the kitchen, and a heavy-duty outlet in that corner for the rice cooker." Toan's clear, concise, and authoritative direction made the electrician obey instantly. Yes, your calculation is spot on, sir. I'll do it right away." While the man climbed the ladder and connected the wires, Toan didn't just stand around idly. He watched. He observed closely to see if this worker made any suspicious moves or glanced around the house too much. Fortunately, the electrician was focused on his work, only occasionally turning to make small talk. "This house has been abandoned for ages. It's nice to see you folks moving in. By the way, you look very familiar, sir. Have I met you somewhere before?" The casual question made Toan's heart skip a beat. He replied calmly, his voice ice cold. "You must be mistaken. I'm from far away, just hired by the owner to work here." The electrician laughed it off. "Yeah, I guess I'm wrong. Just one of those faces, I suppose." Just over an hour later, the wiring was complete. The electrician flipped the breaker to test it. Click, the fluorescent bulb in the middle of the room blazed to life. The stark white light banished the gloom from the dark corners of the wooden cabin. Toan squinted at the light. A wave of emotion rose in his chest. There was power. Civilized life had truly returned. All done, sir. I'll be going now. The electrician packed up his tools. Toan saw him to the gate, not forgetting to thank him. Thanks for your hard work. Come back for some tea when you have time. Only when the electrician's bike disappeared did Toan breathe a sigh of relief. Power was on. Now for the promise to his wife improving the land and fixing the water. Toan took his hoe to the patch of land on the side of the house. The ground here was uneven, full of rocks, and overgrown with weeds. His goal was to flatten this area to make a washing station and build a trellis for loofah gourds. Thud, thud. The sound of the hoe striking the earth was solid and heavy. The sun reached its peak, the heat becoming intense. Sweat soaked the back of Toan's shirt, stinging his eyes. But he didn't stop. He broke up every hard clod of dirt, picked out every rock and threw them aside. Then he grabbed the shovel, moving earth from high spots to fill the low ones. The heavy labor made his muscles tense and ache. The blisters on his hands from yesterday tore open, burning. But every time he saw the land becoming level, he felt a surge of excitement. After the land came the water system. Water here was piped down from a stream high on the hill through an old plastic tube. But the pipe was clogged and leaking from age. Toan had to climb the slope tracing the pipe to find the leaks and reconnect them. He struggled to dig a trench, burying the pipe deep to prevent buffaloes from stepping on and breaking it. When the connections were done, he ran back to open the valve at the tank next to the house. Whoosh! Crystal, clear, cool stream water gushed out. Toan cupped his hands under the flow, splashing it onto his face. The cool sensation ran down his spine, washing away all fatigue. Perfect. We have power, water, and firewood. Diem is going to be so surprised tonight. Toan smiled to himself. Around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, Diem arrived. She walked up from the main road, carrying bags under her arms and in her hands. She was sweating like she'd taken a shower, but her face was radiant. As soon as she stepped into the yard, Diem stood frozen. Before her eyes, the patch of rocky, weed-filled land from this morning had vanished. In its place was a flat, clean surface of dark, porous soil. And in the corner of the yard, the faucet was trickling musically into a water tank that had been scrubbed sparkling clean. "Toan, I'm back," Diem called out loudly. Toan was behind the house. Hearing his wife, he rushed out. He was covered in mud, one pant leg rolled up high and the other low. But his smile was sunny. "You're back. Did you buy a lot of stuff?" Diem put the bags down on the porch, running over to look at her husband, feeling both pity and love. "Oh my God, look at you. You look like a buffalo in a mud bath. I told you to stay home and rest." Toan laughed it off. "How could I rest? Look, the power is on, the water is running strong. I finished leveling the land too." Diem looked inside the house. The electric light was shining brightly. She looked at the brand new rice cooker in her hand, then at her husband. Tears threatened to spill over, not out of self-pity, but out of happiness. Happiness because her husband, despite his memory loss, was still a pillar of strength, a man who knew how to provide and care for his home. Happiness because their nest was gradually forming from the smallest things. "All right, go shower and cool off. I'll go plug in the rice. Today we eat electric cooked rice. No more worrying about it being undercooked or burnt, Diem said, her voice choked with emotion. Yeah, you cook. I'll take a quick shower, then come help you hoe that last vegetable bed. Faster if we do it together, Toan said enthusiastically. Late that afternoon, as twilight fell, the wooden cabin glowed with electric light. For the first time, they didn't have to eat in the dim light of an oil lamp or flickering fire. The meal was served. Bowls of white, fragrant, sticky rice cooked from the new electric cooker. Sweet soup made with mustard greens and minced meat. And a plate of dried fish Diem bought at the market fried until crispy. Toan served rice for his wife, then filled a bowl for himself. He took a bite, chewing slowly. The sweetness of the rice seemed soaked with the taste of civilization, of safety. So good, honey. Electric rice really is different, Toan praised. Diem smiled, placing a piece of fish in his bowl. Eat up. You did the work of 3 men today. I don't know where you get all that strength. After dinner, the couple went back out to the garden. Under the light spilling from the porch and the bright moonlight, Diem held a hoe, Toan held a shovel. Together they turned the soil of the final beds to be ready for sowing mustard greens the next morning. The thud-thud of the hoe, blending with the chirping of insects, created a peaceful symphony of labor. They worked and talked about the future, about the flock of chickens they would raise, the trellis of loofah gourds they would plant. No one mentioned the painful past. No one mentioned the enemies lurking in the shadows. In this moment, it was just them and the land. But out there in the darkness, at the foot of the hill, a pair of eyes watched the bright glow of the wooden cabin. The stranger smirked coldly, then quietly pulled out a phone to send a text. The prey has settled. The lights are on. Prepare to move. Toan and Diem's day had passed in the joy of light and enthusiastic labor. The wooden cabin had truly become a home with full electricity and water. But that very light unintentionally exposed their location more clearly in the dark night. How long will this peace last now that the enemy has begun their plan? Earlier that evening, the sun was just a crimson smear behind the distant mountain range. Daylight was retreating fast, yielding to the cold night mist. Toan stood halfway down the slope, his hands gripping the end of a black water pipe, thick as an adult's wrist. Diem, catch the bottom end for me, I'm sending it down! Toan shouted, his voice echoing against the cliff face. At the foot of the slope, right next to the water tank, Diem looked up ready. Drop it, I've got it. Toan summoned every ounce of his strength muscles, straining to guide the pipe, maneuvering it past sharp rocks so it wouldn't kink. This section of pipe was over 100 meters long, heavy as lead because of the old water and mud trapped inside. Sweat soaked Toan like he'd been in a rainstorm, mixing with the dust to streak his face. But his eyes burned with determination. He knew if he didn't finish this tonight, Diem wouldn't have water to cook or wash tomorrow. When Diem caught the end of the pipe and jammed it into the intake hole of the tank, Toan rushed down the slope, holding a roll of tape and pliers. His hands moved deftly, tightening the connections. Done open the valve, honey. Diem twisted the rusty lock valve hard. Clunk, clunk, Whoosh. After a few sputtering coughs of compressed air, crystal clear, cool stream water gushed into the tank. The sound of rushing water was music to their ears, a sound of life. The couple looked at the water, then at each other, laughing in pure delight. Diem dipped her hands in splashing water on her face to wake up. It's so cool. The water is crystal clear. No more hauling water from the stream. Toan stood with his hands on his hips, letting out a sigh of relief. Yeah, we have water. Now we can live well. All right, it's fully dark now. Let's clean up and cook dinner. They packed up the hammers, and pliers quickly washed their hands and feet and stepped inside. The newly installed electric light shone brilliantly, highlighting the emptiness of the house. Diem carried the bag of food into the kitchen, intending to set it out to cook, but she froze. She looked around. New rice cooker, check. New bowls and chopsticks, check. Food, check. But where do we eat? Apart from the floor, this wooden cabin didn't have a single decent table. Were they supposed to put the food tray on the ground forever? It was dusty and hurt their backs. Diem suddenly remembered something, her eyes lighting up. Toan, I remember. When I walked around the house earlier, I saw some very thick sawn wooden planks in the firewood pile behind the house. They must have been left by the old owner. Should we carry one in and use it as a makeshift dining table? Toan, drying his hair, nodded immediately. Great idea. Let me go check. The couple took a flashlight and went behind the house. This area was overgrown with weeds, the wind whistling a chill down their spines. Under the sweeping beam of the flashlight, a pile of old wood lay silent, covered in the dust of time. Among them was an ironwood plank as thick as a handspan, about 80 centimeters wide and over a meter long. It looked heavy and solid as rock. This one works, honey. Good wood termites can't eat it. Toan tapped the wood surface, making a solid thud-thud sound. Diem worried. But it's extremely heavy. Maybe we leave it for tomorrow. Heavy, not for me. You just hold the light and show me the way. Toan rolled up his sleeves, squatted down into a stance, and took a deep breath. Hoop. He dug his fingers into the edges of the plank, channeling his inner strength to hoist it onto his shoulder. Rippling muscles bulged under the dim flashlight beam. The image of the strong man carrying the weight of the family on his shoulders was beautiful. Toan carried the wood effortlessly into the house, gently placing it on two round wooden stumps already in the corner. Diem quickly took a wet cloth to wipe away the layer of dust. Revealed underneath was a beautiful, glossy, dark brown grain. Wow. If we bought this table in the city, it would cost a fortune. Now, we have a VIP dining table. Toan chuckled. With the table set, Diem peace of mind to start cooking. She washed the rice and poured water into the shiny new rice cooker. Click home, switch, flip down to cook. The red light turned on. A moment later, the fragrant scent of boiling rice began to spread throughout the wooden cabin, chasing away the smell of old mold. While Diem was busy frying eggs and boiling vegetables in the kitchen corner, Toan wasn't sitting idle. He opened the bags Diem bought earlier to organize things. He took the toothbrushes and toothpaste and placed them neatly on the windowsill near the water tank. He hung the face towels on the line. Then he turned to the bag of dishes. Diem had bought a dozen rice bowls with chicken patterns, some deep plates, and a bundle of bamboo chopsticks. Toan held the stack of bowls in his hands, intending to put them away when he froze. He looked around the kitchen. There was no place to store the bowls. Putting them on the ground risked rats and cockroaches crawling over them. Putting them on the dining table would be cluttered and take up eating space. This kitchen was missing something very basic. Something every traditional Vietnamese family used to have. Toan frowned, rummaging through his blurry memories. Then his eyes lit up. That's it. We're missing a chanbat, a dish cupboard. He vaguely recalled the image of a wooden cupboard with mesh wire to keep out flies, filled with dishes on the top shelves and jars of fish sauce and spices on the bottom. A kitchen couldn't be called a kitchen without a chanbat. It was the keeper of tidiness and hygiene for the homemaker. Toan looked at the stack of bowls in his hand, then glanced out at the pile of scrap wood and bamboo strips he had seen while gathering firewood that afternoon. In his mind, a blueprint began to form. I'll build a cupboard. The frame will be scrap wood, the walls woven from bamboo strips. I'll make it 3 tiers. Top tier for dishes, middle for leftovers, bottom for pots and pans. The thought energized Toan. He turned and called out to the kitchen. Diem, I feel like our house is still missing something. Diem, flipping the eggs, turned back, asking, missing what I bought everything, didn't I? Toan held up a bowl. A place to put this. Tomorrow I'm going to build you a dish cupboard. I just spotted some spare wood. I'll make a really nice one to put in that corner. You'll have plenty of space to arrange the dishes and spices. Hearing her husband speak, Diem felt an incredible warmth in her heart. Her man didn't just know how to do heavy labor. He paid attention to the smallest details to nurture their life. Yes, with your skills, I'm sure it will be beautiful. We'll work on it together tomorrow. Rice is ready, honey, come eat. Diem's call cut through Toan's train of thought. He hurriedly stacked the dishes into a temporary plastic basket, then ran to help his wife carry the tray. The meal today was placed solemnly on the newly installed ironwood plank. The electric light shone down on the humble but colorful dinner. Golden fried eggs, fragrant with green onions. A plate of boiled mustard greens, lush and green, served with spicy chili fish sauce, and a bowl of vegetable broth with a squeeze of lime. Especially the steaming rice cooker, filled with white, sticky, fragrant rice. Toan and Diem sat opposite each other across the wooden table. The feeling of eating at a table legs, relaxed back straight, was completely different from squatting on the ground. It felt more dignified, more human. Toan scooped the first bowl of rice, handing it to his wife with both hands. For the lady of the house, the first bowl of electric rice at our homestead. Diem beamed as she took it for the master of the house. Thank you for working so hard to pull the water line and set up the table. They took a bite. The sweetness of the rice, the richness of the egg, the heat of the chili blended together. Outside the window, the night wind whistled and insects chirped. Inside, A cozy atmosphere enveloped them. One ate while excitedly discussing plans for tomorrow. Tomorrow after breakfast, I'll start making the cupboard right away. I've calculated it. I need to make the legs a bit high and put some oil on them so ants can't climb up. Oh, I also plan to build a long bench so we can sit and drink tea on the porch in the afternoons. Diem sat listening to her husband enthusiastically rattle on about carpentry, her eyes filled with love and admiration. She realized that Toan was gradually regaining his confidence. Even though memories of his billionaire identity hadn't returned the instinct of a pillar of the family, someone who loves to create to build had never been lost. This empty house, thanks to his hands, was gradually being filled. Not with expensive furniture, but with love and care. Dinner that night lasted longer than usual, not because there were many dishes, but because there were many stories and much laughter. On that rustic, ironwood table, the couple shared a feast of gratitude and hope. Dear friends, a long day full of work has closed beside a warm meal. The makeshift wooden table and the idea for the dish cupboard tomorrow are proof that happiness doesn't have to wait for wealth. Happiness is knowing how to be content and building your nest with your own hands bit by bit. Tomorrow, Toan will show off his carpentry skills. Will the billionaire manage to build a decent cupboard, or will he clumsily hit his thumb with the hammer? And while Toan is engrossed in his woodwork, will the uninvited guests at the foot of the hill begin to find their way up? Leave a comment saying, waiting for Toan's cupboard to see how his skills turn out. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. The next episode, Hammer Blows and the Stranger Asking for Directions, promises to be very exciting. Goodbye, and see you next time.